So in this picture, we have two elite black athletes representing the United States. The one on the left is Jesse Owens, Olympic gold medalist, multi-time Olympic gold medalist, who was literally racing against actual Nazis in Nazi Germany. And this is him saluting the American flag while the anthem was being played during the medal ceremony. The person on the right is a hammer throw athlete named Gwen Berry. She took third at the Olympic trials and decided to protest the national anthem being played while they were on the podium during that medal ceremony. She put a t-shirt on her head that says activist athlete, and I believe it said Black Lives Matter on the other side. The reason that I decided to put these up is to kind of point out some distinctions. One of them is that the person on the left endured very real and very extreme racism. Those are, there was still the days of the, water fountains and, only whites allowed areas and things like that. And he still did not feel the need or, and was not compelled to disrespect the country that he was competing for, when he got on the medal podium. He won a major victory for all people of color that day and literally did it while, literally racing against Nazi Germany on their home turf. The woman on the right, I'm sure she's experienced some racism in her life, but nothing that compares to what it was like back then. Contrary to whatever push there has been to try to suggest that the current state of racism is anywhere near what it was back then. Now, I think it's important to note that I don't actually, for example, feel very strongly about this topic, as in so much as that, I'm not overly nationalistic, I'm not super patriotic. I do, feel that the United States has done a lot of bad things in its history, but it's a question of what is the intended effect that you want? Who are you trying to win over? Who are you trying to convince? And do you think that doing something like, say, kneeling during the national anthem at an NFL game, or disrespecting the medal ceremony and the flag and the anthem, do you think anybody's ever convinced by this action? Do you think anybody ever thinks to themselves, gee, I really care more about people of color being shot by the police now that I saw somebody, do this kind of activity? I don't feel that it's effective. And the reason that it's creating a lot of negative reactions is because by attacking the flag, by attacking the anthem, you're essentially kind of sending a negative message to a lot of people who've made a lot of sacrifices, including their lives, so that you can have the right to have this protest in the first place. And people on the right are asking, I would say, a very fair question. If you feel that strongly about it, why are you competing for the United States in the first place? This was from the Washington Post. Gwen Berry turns away from the flag at the U.S. track and field trials. She says, and I quote, "I feel like it was a setup." I guess they play the national anthem at different times. They don't actually usually play the national anthem during medal ceremonies, during the Olympic trials. But it doesn't really change her reaction. You see her here standing and turning away on the podium. And again, it kind of brings me back to, what are you competing for the United States for then? And if you feel that strongly about it and that's your position, and one of the things she says in this article is that the national anthem never represented her, so again, if it's that terrible, then why would you go through all of this to represent the United States in the first place? I've never gotten a good answer about that, aside from the fact that in some cases people want attention. So I have here an old newspaper clip where Jesse Owens was asked his view when a couple of black athletes chose to protest during the national anthem podium ceremony. And they were actually expelled from the Olympic Village for doing so. So Former Olympic star Phil Smith and Carlos Aird, as I made a mistake. You'll have to bear with me here as I read this. Milwaukee, October 29th, Jesse Owens, former Olympic track star, said, "Tonight, the U.S. Olympic Committee was justified in expelling sprinters Tommy Smith and John Carlos from the American team in Mexico City. Smith, who captured the 220-meter gold medal, and Carlos, who finished third, were kicked off the team and banished from the Olympic Village after they raised black-gloved fists and kept their eyes fixed on the ground during the award ceremonies." And this is what Jesse said in quotes, "These kids are imbued with the idea that there's a great deal of injustice in our nation," Owens, they use the word Negro, said. "In their own way, they were trying to bring out what is wrong in our country." He continues, "I told them that the problem certainly belonged in the continental borders of America. This is Mexico City. It was the wrong battlefield. Their running performances would have done more to alleviate the problem, rather than the disrespect they showed to our flag and the discourtesy shown to the Mexican government," Owens said. The winner of 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Germany, Owens felt the press was guilty of blowing up the incident. "The less said about things like this, the better off we'd be," he said in an interview. Before addressing athletic club dinner, "We should talk more about positive things and not always emphasize the wrongs," Owens said. "You people keep writing the debit side of the picture. I get sort of miffed about it." The press built up Brown, Stokey, Carmichael, and Harry Edwards. So this is, again, a man who encountered vicious racism and literally went into, the belly of the beast for racism by going to Nazi Germany, and even he felt that this isn't how you go about it. Now, he did say something about within the borders of the United States, but I think it's fair to guess that this athlete certainly planned, meaning Gwen Berry, certainly planned to continue to do this if she won the Olympics in Tokyo. And so again, it comes back to what impression are you going to make? As Jesse pointed out, their performance would have, alleviated the problem. Jesse Owens became an American hero. And doing that, and conducting yourself like a gentleman, or in this case, a lady, with great sportsmanship, that will win people over. It inspires people, and it makes people think again. That's the kind of activism that actually changes minds. Getting up in people's faces or going out of your way to confront them does not just suddenly make them interested in your plight. That's an issue that activists really need to learn. And while standing on podiums and facing away from the flag is certainly not in the same category as riots, and I do want to cut off people right now on this issue, because I've had a lot of idiots say, "Well, you guys complained when we kneeled for the national anthem, so that's why we're rioting." That's like one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. There are ways to reach people. There are ways to make things clear. There are ways to show injustices. Martin Luther King was very good at this. And there are ways to do it in ways that humanize people of color, which is what's going to make it so that other people care about what happens to them. That's what Daryl Davis does. That's what, Martin Luther King did. That's a system that actually works, that actually changes minds and brings people in. Going out of your way to alienate and piss people off doesn't. Nobody who is made angry by activism is suddenly going to change their mind. When you say things like, "I don't want to be nice anymore," okay, but again, what's your goal? If your goal is to win people over and to bring people to your side of the argument, going out of your way to piss them off has the opposite effect. Thanks for listening.